Hello.
Hi, Bashrat, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So, you tired today also? Exhausted?
Yes.
Yeah? So, do you want to do a lab or we do a first theory and then you want to do the lab?
Uh, yeah, if it's okay with you, let's begin with the theory first.
Okay. Just give me one sec. So, do you have any questions?
Nothing I can think of, Kumar, as of now. I'll let you know if something comes to my mind.
Okay. Let me just change this to this is to leave. You're able to see the screen, right?
Yes.
Just trying to adjust because normally you get a message that says sometimes I get a problem with this mic,
Hmm.
like how we had before.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna look at authentication now.
Okay.
Okay, not this is also very crucial topic, and the lab also is very crucial here, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so this is where we're gonna do authentication and authorization. Now we have done the initial setup, we have done the networking, we have created the load balancings, we have done the partitioning and integration of LDAP, and yesterday I showed you the gateway, right? And we configured the gateway, right?
Right.
In this one, I'm going to show you how you can configure a radius server and a two-factor authentication. Remember yesterday I created some application group like internal network, external network, right?
Sorry.
Yesterday I created
Split
some
tunnel.
application group, resource group, right?
Okay.
Internal and external network, if you remember.
Uh, Resource group, not for the split tunnel, you mean?
After the split tunnel, I created a resource group, right?
Okay.
If you remember, I created one for the internal network and one for the external network,
Right. Right.
right? So now after this, in this, I'm gonna create the groups. I'm gonna create AAA groups,
Okay.
all right? And then I'm going to configure authorization policies. Then to configure the ADC with as a SAML
Hmm.
service provider and an identity provider, right?
Okay.
Okay. So authentication to establish identity and authorization to provide access to resources, okay, and customizing multi-factor authentication and looking into authentication and authorization policies, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we're going to look at authentication and authorization. As you saw that I could connect Active Directory or integrate Active Directory with LDAP, Radius, SAML, right? Or even authenticate the users locally with the ADC, right? You
Yes.
remember this account, right? When I went to the user administration, I created a local user, then I created a group, right? and when you did the SQL Server load balancing, you created a database user, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and and in the administration, we created a AAA group that is extracting the group membership from the Active Directory, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you're going to use the AAA that is in a distributed environment, you are going to think of the intranet, okay? People or employees that are going to access in the office, at home, or whenever they're traveling, right?
Hmm.
So the whole content of your intranet should be confidential and it should require a secure access, right, sir?
Okay.
And any user who wants to access the intranet must have a valid username and password. So for you to meet this requirement, your ADC will redirect the user to the login page, right, where they are going to be given the dialog box to enter their username and password, right?
Okay.
And they are going to authenticate with the authentication server.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Then it is going to maintain the session time, a session timeout, after which the user must re-authenticate or must authenticate again.
Okay.
Right. So that is where your authentication comes into play here.
Hmm.
And the local user, saying you.
I had a question just now in my mind.
Mhm.
Like the gateway here is being used for various purposes, like for the VDI, for the VPN, for the access, all
Right.
these things. If I were to compare it, like in a sense, with the firewall I have in my mind, it's like, for example, FortiGate now.
Mhm.
FortiGate is serving as a firewall and it's providing almost all the similar features.
Right.
So, but ADC is not a firewall, and FortiGate is. So,
Mhm.
if I were to consider in those terms, like, but still some companies do have both of them again. They would have FortiGate and they would also have a load balancer. Uh, yeah, I'm just curious about their usage, or like preference, or is it like overlapping technologies, or for
No,
one.
it's not an overlapping technology. We use both the technologies together.
Okay.
I can put if you remember, even before I said I can put a Fortinet in front, right?
Right.
And I can put the ADC behind it, right?
Hmm.
And I will do a netting between the two.
Okay.
So what the user is gonna do is user is gonna hit here and is gonna look at the firewall policy, and because of the netting, then I'm gonna forward it to the ADC, right? Where all this traffic management policy, load balancing policy would apply, and the ADC would go back to the backend server, right?
Right.
Similarly, the backend server will reply to the ADC. ADC will look into the policies, evaluate the policies, and forward that back to the Fortinet, where the firewall policies will apply again, right?
Hmm.
And then the user will be able to get the resource.
Okay.
So this is like a layer of security that you can add on.
Okay.
So it is not overlapping technology. It is just that you're using those technology in parallel.
All right.
Okay. If you see, the ADC can do WAF, right?
Hmm.
All right. ADC can do content switching.
Right.
It can do compression, right, of that HTTP traffic, right?
Yeah.
It can do load balancing, right?
Hmm.
So, and it can do SSL offload.
Right.
So that is why they can use both. You can use Fortinet, you can use F5, you can use Palo Alto in front
Okay.
or behind, whichever way. So it's not an overlapping. You're just taking advantage of certain features from other products and advantage of other products as well together.
Mhm.
Are we good, sir?
Yeah.
Right. So this is the gateway where you create a user account, but you can use the GUI. If you remember, we created a user account going to the local, and then we went with LDAP, right? Yes, when I was doing the integration.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
we were creating the partition, first I created a local administrator, and then I integrated with LDAP so that I could take advantage of the group extractions from the LDAP via the ADC, right?
Yeah.
So those are the user groups that we created. If you want to use for testing your policy profiles, all right, and this is the way you're gonna do it when you're gonna, and this is the external authentication when you want to enable your ADC to do the authentication on behalf of LDAP or your other authentication servers, so that the user is not gonna go to the LDAP directly. LDAP is free because ADC has extracted the group membership from the Active Directory already, right?
Okay.
So I can use it with your LDAP or Active Directory, Radius, and SAML. So as I said, ADC can work like a service provider as well as identity provider.
Okay.
Are we good, sir?
Yeah.
And you got the local and external authentication that you can configure for your systems, AAA accounts. All right. Here they also support older version of like NT4. Okay, even though it's very dated, it's very old, but still can give you the support. You will have the authentication service for both your account types. For example, you can have it for your LDAP, you can have it for your Radius, or you can have LDAP and Radius, or you can have LDAP and Takasis, right? So I've not seen anyone use Takasis, so I don't even know how it looks like.
All right.
So go with the ones that you
It,
know. Don't go
uh,
with the ones that you don't know, and then you struggle in the end,
right.
right? So NTLM version one and two, okay. NTLM version one is 8-bit unencrypted, and NTLM version two is 16-bit encrypted. And this were introduced in long back in Windows NT4, if you remember NT4.
Okay.
You know the Windows NT4, the
Yes.
server,
That was it. NT. Yeah. NT4 before Windows 2000. So
right? Yes.
came in 2003 and all those things.
Now, we had NTs in 1995, from 1995 onwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, we had it before that, but I came to
Yeah.
know
We
about
started
it myself.
looking at that. Yes.
Otherwise, I used to go into the DOS command and edit the autoexec.bat file, and used to type Windows in that autoexec file.
Okay.
You know, when you use Windows 3.11,
Yes.
so when it boots, it gives you the C prompt, and then you have to type Win or
Right.
Windows, right?
Yes. Yes. To open the GUI, which was very much just
And
like.
then what I did was I used to edit the autoexec.bat file,
Uh-huh.
and in the at the end of the script, there used to be a script on that
Okay.
used to run before, and then I used to type Windows and save it. So every time the command it goes to the command prompt, Windows used to start automatically.
Right. Right.
This is what I call the golden period.
Yeah.
And you could use the Windows 95 and 98 key. I can give you the key, you activate it, it goes through.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, right. So we got the authentication policy. So the gateway authentication will be incorporated with your local authentication, where you're going to create the local user group, users, and the groups, right?
Okay.
Okay. So this is basically around your policy, all right, for your policies to control the authentication procedures. So you can use it with your LDAP and Radius. So if you see, we have created policies for LDAP. I added the server and created the policy for LDAP, right?
Yeah.
Right, sir. So, and these are your policies for local, no associated action. For LDAP, you need the LDAP action. For Radius, you need the Radius action. For Takasis, you need the Takasis action, right? And
Right.
NT4 policy, you need NT4 action. So if you're gonna go with your web authentication, that's your web authentication. So authentication policies basically has the expression and the action, right?
Yeah.
And it includes the information required to perform the authentication behavior. So your policies will determine when the action should be applied. All right.
Hmm.
And this is your global authentication types configuration. So any global authorization action that you create will be applied to all the users. Okay. Even to those who do not have an authentication policy associated with them, whether you're going to be talking directly or through a group, right?
Hmm.
Are we good, sir?
Yes.
And then you got the multi-factor authentication. So what is the difference between n-factor and multi-factor?
Not sure.
Take a guess.
N factor and maybe one of those means like simply using a third, post password, username and password, additional code, or and one of them means like like the authenticator app, or maybe there are additional things, like with your device, with your log, some additional things. I cannot remember, but this is what I've heard. Like,
A
you know,
two-factor is where you got two authentication servers, right?
yeah,
Where both of them will give you the use password. You need to put password one and password two, right?
okay,
Okay. And factor, which is your next factor authentication. Okay. Basically means you have more than two servers. Let's say this is LDAP, this is Radius, right?
mhm,
And you have another one and another one. So the end factor means you authenticate using LDAP, then it says go to the Radius, then go to SAML and or certificate, or then go to the SAML, right? So this is your end factor, the next factor. So one, then go here, then go here, and then go here. That is the next factor.
okay,
Okay. Two factors, it will just give you say, right, give me the password for LDAP and give me the password for Radius. That is your two factor, right?
yeah,
And factor is you're gonna tell in your policy from which server to which server I should go for authentication. That is the next factor or and factor.
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
So you can configure that end factor. You have several. You can have several authentication servers, and you can set the priority of your authentication policies. So the priority levels you set will determine the order in which the authentication server will validate the user's credentials, right? So you can also set up a user authentication against two different authentication servers. So you can configure LDAP authentication policy and a radius authentication policy. So when the user logs in, they authenticate with the first with the username and password, and then with the radius, they need to put a PIN number, right?
okay,
Okay, that is two factor or what we call multi-factor, right? Don't get confused between multi-factor and n-factor.
right,
So whenever you what is a whenever you have the authentication, that is going to allow you as an administrator to create a cascade of multiple authentication. Cascade of multiple authentication means I'm going to give you more than two servers, okay? And you create a policies, well, that is going to validate the user credentials during the. So what happens during the authentication, when the user logs into the virtual server is checked first, and then the global authentication policy is checked. So first we're going to check, once the user logs in, first we're going to check the virtual server, and then we're going to check the global authentication policies. Okay. So if the user belongs to a authentication policy or on both your virtual server and globally, then the policy from the virtual server will be applied first and then the global authentication. So if you are using a cascade, that is you belonging to two groups of authentication. The first group, the one that you're going to apply first is the virtual server policy, then global server, right? If you've seen that sometimes I was applying the policies onto the virtual server and sometimes onto the global server globally, right? When
Okay.
you integrated the LDAP, I applied that LDAP policy globally.
Mhm.
That means to everyone who's going to pass through the NetScaler, right?
Okay. Okay.
So this is your two-factor authentication, primary and secondary, where you can give me LDAP1, LDAP2, and radius, or as a secondary, you can just give me LDAP1 and LDAP2. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is the end factor. Read through this, sir, then I'll tell you.
Can enhance the security. Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah.
What does it say? So this is end factor is supported from version 11 of the NetScaler. All right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna create an authentication schema. Okay, schema is the way you're gonna tell what all servers, how your authentication will work from one server to the next, then to the next, right? That is your XML file. So every time you have an XML file, and your XML file will be associated with a login schema, and you're going to have the you're going to associate each login schema with a login schema policy or the policy label. Policy label is a container of multiple policies, right? And then you're going to bind the schema policy to an authentication virtual server, and then you're going to bind that authentication policy level as your next factor to an authentication. So for example, I'm going to have my ADC providing you the whole multi-factor authentication. This is the called end factor, where it's going to get all the credentials from the users, and it can go to radius, from radius to from LDAP to radius, and from radius to SAML, right? Or to client certificate, or uh, OpenNauth or OpenID or Kerberos, right? So you can have multiple authentication servers. So it is going to evaluate all your credentials to see which authentication succeeded, failed. Okay. So you might see that I might fail on the client certificate, but I have passed on the rest of them, right? So whatever the evaluation result is, either I'm going to get a grant access granted or denied, or the next factor of authentication is selected. So if I failed on the client certificate and your next factor said go and see the SAML, then I will go and authenticate using the SAML. That is the end factor, right?
Okay.
So I can say I have LDAP, I have radius, I have client certificate, and I have SAML. So I have been passing, I passed on the LDAP, I passed on the radius. If I failed here, I'll say go and see the next one. And next one says SAML, right? That is your end factor. So we have a login schema, which is going to decouple the view, the user interface, and the model. So login schema is basically to define what the user get to see or how the log on form gets to be displayed to the user, right? Okay. The factor basically is a step in your authentication process, and it is going to validate one user and one password field, right? Okay. And then you have the virtual server, which is going to be it is going to be used because that is the starting factor for the client traffic, and that is the one taking policies of different types, right? Okay. Then you got the end factor. Okay. Now this is the where all your credentials set in your authentication flow. If the current authentication policy succeeds, then no authentication policy is applied or can be used as your conditional authentication check, like whether you are an admin or a non-admin, right?
Okay.
So you can do a pass-through factor also. So once the user has passed the authentication at the virtual server level, then on the subsequent authentication that will happen at the policy level or user defined secondary factor. So if there is a pass-through from the virtual server, I have passed, and I will go to the next authentication policy level or whatever you have defined as your for the authentication you have defined as a user, right? Are we good, sir? So these are your next factor: no authentication policy and pass through. So next factor determines what should be done if authentication succeeds. If there is no next factor, that concludes the authentication process. But if there is a next factor, then it continues to the next server. So if you have no authentication policy, which is a built-in policy, that will always return success as authentication result. And if you have a pass-through, the credential will pass through set of from your previous factor, right?
Yeah.
And these are your end factor policy labels. Policy labels are basically your whole policy infrastructure. And for the end factor to work, you have to use policy labels because these are the part of your advanced policy engine. And now we call them as default policy engine. So policy labels are basically containers for groups of policies, right? So you can decide here whether, in fact, what it will do when the XML file is changed, it should be reloaded using the set authentication login schema. So the profile directs you to the login schema XML file, which is stored in your nsconfig login schema. And if you create, you can create as many as you need. So if you do any kind of changes, if there is XML file change, then you have to reload it again using the login schema, right? So this is why I said this authentication lab is quite important because you will now understand how your authentication actually works. So we got the n factor use case. Are you guys using n factor or multi-factor, sir?
It's a multi-factor.
Hmm?
Multi-factor so far.
Okay. So the use case of your n factor, it will allow you for a dynamic authentication flow based on the user profile. And in some of the cases, this could be very easy flow or simple flow. Okay. And if you look in some cases, it can be coupled with securing the Active Directory and other authentication servers, right?
Good.
So some of the requirements to this, you need the gateway,
Mhm.
where you're going to give me the username password selection, right? And you whatever browser or receivers you're going to be using, you're going to use the Active Directory. The password as the first password field, and the second password that you can use is your one-time password. Okay. You can give me, then you need to give me a multi-tenant authentication endpoint where your organization might be using different gateway servers for certificate and non-certificate users, right? Or you can give me an authentication based on the group membership. So some of your organization can get the user properties from the Active Directory and see the authentication requirement. So these are the some of the factors that we require for the authentication.
Okay.
And your multi-factor and n-factor, you can configure any number of authentication factors. And because it is going to enhance the security of your application, where you're going to be providing multiple proof of your identity just to gain access. Are we good, sir?
Yes.
So we can also configure the pass-through. So multi-factor, as I said, is giving a good security to the applications, right?
Mhm.
So you can use a pass-through for your authentication factor. That means no explicit login interaction is required. It is just going to get you authenticated, right? So you can configure the order in which your different types of authentications are applied, and you can configure your ADC to proceed to an authentication factor that must be executed when authentication fails. So something like this. This is your n-factor visualizer. Single authentication is an Active Directory. I will take you to the radius, right? Single authentication, if it's an AD partner, I will ask you for the certificate or the certificate uh, policies, right?
Okay.
If you're using the LDAP policies, I will ask you for the either the OTP or OTP policies. So this is the n-factor visualizer where it's showing you the or where you create a basic authentication flow.
Okay.
You might have multiple domains. So if you have multiple domains, you're going to create an n-factor schema.
Mhm.
And these are your all your configurations for your authentication. Active Directory, Novel E Directory, IBM Directory, Lotus Domino, Sun1, LDAP, or any LDAP servers, right?
So, are any of these other than AD still in use, or
Sorry?
any of these LDAP
Yeah,
integrations?
yeah, Novel is still in use.
Okay. Okay.
IBM Directory is still in use, but commonly used one is the Active Directory.
Okay.
Right, sir?
Yeah.
And this is the radius authentication. So radius, we normally use radius as a secondary, and radius is not new. We had radius in mid 90s and early 2000, if you remember.
Yeah.
Remote access dial-in user service, right?
Yes.
So we used to use radius for our two factors. So these are some of the authentication products: RSA Secure ID, SafeWord, Gemalto, and any radius compliance service you can use. All right, this is the SAML. Have you used SAML before, sir?
Yeah, we are. I believe the ADFS, land party trust integrations are all SAML based, right?
Not really. ADFS uses your relying party and all that.
Yeah. So it's SAML based, I believe. I mean, not just SAML. I mean, there's SAML, there's OAuth, there's OpenID, all those, but SAML as well.
Let me see if I have that. Okay, don't have it, don't have it. This is SAML. This is SAML. So SAML, which is your security assertion markup language. Can you just give me 1 minute, sir?
Yeah.
Please. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm.
Sorry about that, Bashrat. Are you there?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So it is going to be used as your single sign-on. And why do you want to use the SAML is to provide larger providers to ensure security of your user data and to validate the users and keep the data up to date. And that's gonna give you the single sign-on. The first thing is gonna do, all right. You are the service provider. You are the user. This is the service provider. The user goes to the service provider requesting the protected resources, right? Service provider goes to your identity provider. In our case, is the ADC, okay, and says I have an unauthenticated user user redirected to SAML. So the resource provider will say this is the unauthenticated user, and SAML IDP, which is the ADC, will then provide the logon page where the user is going to enter the credentials, and that credentials will be sent to the verification for verification on the database, and database will send the verification response to the ADC, all right, which is the SAML identity provider, and ADC will send that IDP SAML response to the service provider, and that is how your SAML would work. So you see, I don't need to have ADFS here. ADFS is a federal service, is separate. It is separate to this, right? Okay. So this is what happens with your uh, SAML. This is the whole process of the SAML, right? Are we good, sir?
Yeah, but I mean, from Microsoft perspective, it is still just one product, right? ADFS, which is serving all
See,
this.
I will show you.
Okay.
So I can configure ADFS as a server SAML. Okay. I don't need to have SAML for ADFS.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
configuration is based on SAML. This is what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just integrating the SAML, right, with ADF, or you're basically configuring ADFS as a SAML provider. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. So I used to have one, but I do no longer have that. Uh, Let me see in the images. Something like this would be, you can say, but yeah, it's a complicated one though. This is MFA, ADFS. This is the one.
Okay.
This is the one. So you still have your ADC if you see there, right?
Yeah.
So it's going there, going to the Azure, and is doing all everything that Azure needs to do. right?
Yeah.
This is your ADC and Azure with ADFS with SAML.
Okay.
So that is what is actually happening here, right? So SAML, yes, I'm going to use it. All right, to give me the IDP, identity provider, okay, and a service provider that is going to give us the resources, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So my ADC can act like a IDP as well as service provider.
Right.
Okay. So also you can configure the client certificate, right? And for you to configure for the authentication and authorization. So whenever the user is logging onto the gateway virtual server, and after the authentication, those username information will be extracted from the specific field of the certificate, which is your subject CN, right? If you remember the CN, right? So that
Yeah.
will be extracted from the CN. And once the username is extracted successfully, then the user is authenticated. But if the user is not able to provide a valid certificate during the TLS handshake, or if the username extraction fails, then the whole authentication will fail, right? And if you have selected the client certificate authentication on the gateway, then the users are authenticated based on the attributes of your client certificate. And only after that, the authentication is completed, right?
Okay.
So we can configure the ADC, as I said, to extract the username from the subject CN field, right? And when the user tries to log on to the authentication virtual server, which is your authentication policy, and it's not configured, then a global cascade is not configured. The user name would be extracted from the specific field of the certificate. And once the field is extracted and authentication succeeds, then the user does not have to provide any valid certificate during the TLS or SSL handshake. But if that extraction fails, then the authentication fails, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to, this is an extra layer of security. Some companies go with the client certificate authentication, also some don't. But the problem is if you're using a wildcard, then I would not even advise you to go with the client certificate. Very few companies I've seen with the client certificate because I think they don't want to get a certificate for each and every client. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions so far? This is a difficult topic, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and this is basically your two-factor where the client can send the certificate to the ADC as a secondary authentication method. So you can have the LDAP as the primary and the secondary as your client certificate, right?
Okay.
So you need to now again select your certificate and you bind it, right?
Okay.
And this is for the smart card. Uh, it's like a device, right? You need to trust the device. This is used in mostly in the military side where you come and tap in the card and you get a single sign on.
Okay.
But then it what happens is it basically increases your administration. Now you need to also administer those smart card readers.
All right.
All right. So this is the smart card. So it's mostly used in the defense with your access card, right? For identification and authentication. So you can configure it going to your policies and configuring the authentication, right? You
Mm-hmm.
give it a name, you give it a card, you select that authentication in that and select the card, sorry, and select the certificate.
Okay.
and then you give a subject alternate name.
Okay.
We hardly use this one because it's just an add-on administration. So you want to prevent the users from receiving a second PIN prompt, you have to change the two settings. One, the client authentication on the VPN server must be disabled, and SSL renegotiation should be enabled.
Okay.
So you're gonna disable the authentication, you're just gonna uncheck this. Okay, and you can disable it at the virtual server level also. All right, and these are your LDAP policies that we have already done. If you remember the integration yesterday,
Okay.
I don't know if you did it, but before the partition, I integrated the LDAP when I went to the authentication.
Hmm.
And then I created the LDAP policies and I binded the LDAP policy to the LDAP server and I said ns underscore true. And that made my policy activated.
Okay.
All right. And then we created a system group. If you remember this, I created ns train operators and ns train admin, right?
Hmm.
That they were coming from the Active Directory.
Yes.
And on the global, I could say allow or deny. So if you want to improve the security, you just deny.
Right.
And then you create your authorization policy to define the network resource. And if you remember, I defined the network resource yesterday, internal and external, right?
Hmm.
So that's for the authentication. You want me to show you the lab for this?
Yeah. Yes.
You can do both the labs, right? If you want to do the labs.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's root. And I'm gonna now create a authentication policy for the radius, right? Okay, same way that you're gonna do. I'm just gonna go to the this way, but in this I'm gonna go to the Citrix Gateway. Okay, and last time we created from the system. This time I'm gonna create from the Citrix Gateway policies and scroll down to authentication. And there you also got radius. So I'll select radius here. Okay, and click on the servers tab. I'm gonna add. Give the IP address of your radius server. I'm gonna give it a name here. Auth underscore radius underscore SRV. Give the IP address 192.168.30.15. The port that we normally use is 1812. You need to get the key from the your radius people, the key, secret key. The secret key that I have is Citrix. All right, 456. This is the secret key that I've configured on my radius server. Okay, and I am going to just create this, and then I will go and add the policy, and I'll create an auth underscore radius underscore pol. and I've selected my radius server, and here I will just say ns underscore true. Okay, and create it. I'll go to the Citrix Gateway virtual server. You see this one, and I'm going to edit it. You will see LDAP policies that's already binded here under the primary authentication. I am going to unbind it and close. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to bind that policy to the primary authentication, the radius policy. So scroll down, you see your basic authentication, right?
Okay.
So you'll see it here, right? And you're going to select. This is going to be radius, right? And it's going to be the primary type, right, sir? Okay, and select that policy. Okay, and I'm going to bind it. So my primary authentication becomes radius, and now I'm going to bind the secondary one, which is going to be my LDAP. So there, and I'm going to say LDAP. LDAP will become secondary. Bind that LDAP policy that we have created in the beginning. All right, make sure I have the same priority. Bind it, and I'm going to say done. Save it, and I'm going to test the external policy. So I will log on to the RDG icon here and to the external machine. I'm going to log into the gateway. Now you see I'll have to see here. I'm going to put the authentication, the username, user1. Okay, this one here, user1. You see password. This is for the radius, Citrix 456, and this is for the LDAP, password number 2, which is Citrix 123, and I will log in. So this is two-factor authentication, right, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to log off and go back to the ADC, and I'm going to remove the two-factor authentication for now. All right, so the way I'm going to do it, you see Unified Gateway under the Integrate with Citrix product. Click on your authentication server, and I'm going to unbind this. And I'm going to make, I'm going to use the LDAP and secondary none. Yeah. So I only have one server now. Okay. And I'll just continue and just say okay. And then you hit this back button because I don't want to do any more changes here. So I'll just go hit this back button. And now what I need to do is I've done the two-factor, right? Now I'm going to configure AAA and advanced authentication. So I'm going to create groups now. So I'm going to go to the system, sorry, onto the gateway. Under the gateway, you will see user administration and you will see AAA groups, right? and I will add certain groups. I'm going to add IT admins, okay, and I'll just say okay and done. Then I'll create HR users, say okay and done. And I'm going to create contractors. This is the groups I'm creating now. If you remember yesterday, this is what I did. I created intranet application. You remember this network internal and network external, right?
Right.
So I'm going to now use this. All right. So I'm going to use that with these groups. Are we good? So I'm going to now configure the authorization policies for this. All right. So I'm going to go to the policies. Okay. And I'm going to create a session policy. I already have a session policy, right? If you see on the session profile tab, this was created automatically. So I'm going to edit it. And what I'm going to do basically under the security tab, right? You see default authorization is allow, right? Are we good, sir? You see that default authorization is allow, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. What I need to do is I'm going to disable this, and that is going to be deny, right? Okay. Because everyone is now able to access my resources. Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to do that. I'm going to provide specific access to the resource. I'm going to provide you specific access to my users. I don't want anybody to just come and get authenticated, right? So see here, I'm now going to log in again. I'm going to say contractor with password 1. And if I go with the access, network access, why is it not coming? It's froze. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, now it's coming up. So I'm going to click on network access. Why is it doing that? Okay. So I want you to connect using the VPN. So if I do a ping here, it should fail. Okay, if I do a ping here, it will fail, right? So I'm gonna say ping 192.168.30.11. It should fail because on authorization I've said deny, right? Can you see that? On authorization I've said deny. Yes.
Yes.
And if I'm gonna try and access a server, let's say webblue.workspacelab.com, it will also fail. Okay, this is now because now I want to be very specific. any outside people, I should direct them to certain servers and not give them access to the backend servers, right? Totally. So I'm now going to be creating an authorization policy for each of these groups. See, it's failed, right?
Yeah.
I'm not able to log in. So I'm just going to log off. Even the ping has failed, right?
Okay.
I will log off. Now I'm going to go and create authorization policies. So I'll go to the policies and I will now create authorization policy right here under gateway authorization policy. And I'm going to add a policy. That means I'm going to say auth O, all right,
Okay.
allow all, right? And make sure allow is selected, right, sir?
Mhm.
Okay, it's going to be uh, advanced policy, and I'm going to say true, create. All right, and I'm going to add another policy, and I'm going to say auth O underscore deny all, and this is going to be deny here. And I'm going to add that true, right? All right, sir. And I'm going to now add another one. That means I'm going to say auth O underscore allow underscore back and web only, right? And I'm going to write something in the policy. This is only a condition that is going to be applicable, right? Okay, so I will say here where my client dot IP, right, dot destination, right,
Okay.
dot in subnet, right, in subnet, yeah, is 192.168.30.0/24, excuse me, and this is a boolean, and my client, right, dot TCP dot destination port, right, is equal to, I'll say equal to 80, right, sir? Pass that on, and I will say client dot TCP, right? Okay, dot destination port is equal to 443, right? You see why we use 443 and 80, right? So anything in this IP range, okay, with the subnet either on port 80 or 443, it should go to the backend server, right? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, what is the problem here? Client dot IP dot des client dot TCP, that's correct. Syntax port subnet port. Okay, dot equals to, and then I should have another bracket actually. Let's see. Yeah, so that is my, and then I'm going to go to the Citrix Gateway Policy Manager. Okay, Citrix Gateway Policy Manager. You will see AAA groups, right?
Okay.
You see this is the AAA group, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to add those, and I see 3A groups. Click on that, edit the IT admins, and now I'm going to assign the policies. And you'll see authorization policy, right? and I'm going to add an authorization policy here. That means I'm going to allow everything to them, to the IT guys. Auth allow all, right?
Okay.
And I will give it a 10. And I'm going to bind it, and it's going to be done. Right, sir? And
Yeah.
I'm going to now go to the contractors. I'm going to edit it, and I am going to go to the authorization policy. All right. And I'm going to select allow to the backend. Right.
Mhm.
And it's going to be set to 100 and bind it and done. All right. And I'm going to click OK here and save it and done at the bottom. So see, I've binded the policies to these groups, right?
Okay.
You want to test it? We can go ahead and test it also.
Mhm.
Go to the external client, exit this and log in again. I will log in as IT admin 1. Click on the network access. And once I click on the network access, you'll see one thing here. I have this ping. Let's see if it's gonna ping. No, ping is not allowed. I have a RDP connection, and that should take me through,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So RDP connection is working.
Mhm.
And if I want to browse the WebBlue,
Mhm.
it should load properly. webblue.workspacelab.com. There you go. It's loading properly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna log off from here. Exit this. Now I'm going to log in as contractor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the network access. And if I try to log on to the RDP, it should fail. See, it fails, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm going to browse the Blue server, it's gonna load because I have allowed him to go to the backend server, right, with the specific IPs, right?
Okay.
And I am going to log off. Now, this is what we had in our groups. Now I am going to configure the SAML, right?
Okay.
Okay, I am going to now configure the SAML in as my ADC as my SAML. So you're gonna go to the security, AAA, AAA traffic, right? If it is disabled, you enable the feature, right? And you go to the AAA virtual server, that is your authentication, authorization, and auditing server. I'm going to add a virtual server here. All right, and I'm going to call it VSRV underscore AAA, and I'm going to give an IP address 172.21.10.108. Okay, and it's going to be 443, and I'm going to go say okay. I'll say no server certificate. Again, you need the certificate, right? And I'm going to bind this workspace WC wildcard one and bind it and continue. And you see, these are your n factors: no authentication policy, SAML, or auth, right? This is your n factor. So you can select n factor, then authentication, SAML. So this is where you can select your policies, right? So I will select here no authentication policy, and I'm going to add LDAP policy here first. All right, I will leave everything as it is. If you had a next factor, you can add your other servers, right? That is your n factor. So after LDAP, it will go to the next server, then to the next server, right?
All right.
And I will bind it. All right, and I'm going to say continue and done. Now back here, I'm going to go to AAA application traffic management, scroll down to your authentication. All right, AAA traffic policies, and you will see under policies, you will see authentication. Under authentication, I am going to go with the advanced policy, and under the advanced policy, I will select SAML IDP, because now first I need to create a profile for the identity provider, right? So I'll go into the profiles and add, give it a name. I will call it SAML underscore IDP underscore prof, right? And I can remove, I don't want to import any metadata. And in the assertion consumer service link URL, you're going to put in the gateway or gateway URL. And CGI / SAML auth, right? This is what you're going to put in the URL. This is your insertion URL that is going to be inserted and that is going to be sent, right? Are we good?
Yeah.
And here under the certificate, the service provider certificate, if you have a certificate, you add it right here. Okay, and you have the IDP certificate as well. You have uploaded it. You will add it. You will select it from here, and I'm going to encrypt the assertion using the AES 256. And who is going to give me the issue? Who is the issuer, right? Okay, we are issuer name right here. This is where the name that is going to be sent in the request from the ADC, that it says I am the issuer, right? It's gonna be gateway.workspacelab.com. In your case, this would be your ADFS or your domain, right? Okay, your domain that is gonna provide the resource. Okay. Are we good, sir?
Yeah.
And I'm going to create it. So scroll down, I'll see a message right here. So I've created that. Now I need to create the policy. So I will go onto the policies tab and add a policy, and it says SAML underscore IDP underscore Paul. I've selected that profile already. All right. And in the expression, I'll just say true. and I'm going to create it. So once I've created that, I'm going to go to the virtual servers. Once I go to the virtual server, I'm going to bind it. I'm going to edit, and in advanced authentication policies, this one, now I will select SAML. No SAML IDP policy, and I'm going to bind the SAML policy. All right, and bind it and close it and done. Okay. Now this is the IDP. Now I need to configure the ADC as a service provider, right? First, you have to configure it as an identity provider. Now I'm going to configure this as my service provider, because this is the one that is providing me the identity plus the resources from my backend server, right? All right. So back onto the traffic, AAA traffic, go to the policies and go to the advanced policies, or basic policies rather. This is advanced. Go to the basic. In the basic, you will see SAML also. And this is going to be, and I'm going to add the servers. So I'm going to give it a name, SAML underscore SP underscore server. All right. I'm going to uncheck that. And the URL that we want, so it's going to be https idp.workspace lab. Now you see it's changed from a gateway to IDP, right? .com / SAML login / login. All right. This is where I'm going to under the redirect URL. So you also need to create that in your DNS. And under the IDP certificate, this is what I'm going to say. Under the IDP certificate name, this is where I'm going to go. And inside that username field, all right, this is where I'm going to put in as name ID. All right, in your signing certificate request, certificate name is going to be my WC. And who is the issuer? It is https gateway.workspacelab.com, right? And I will continue with that and create it. And now we're going to configure the policy. So click on the policies tab and add. Give it a name. I'll give it SAML underscore SP underscore Paul. And I've already selected my service provider, and NS underscore true, and create it. Right? And once I create it, it should say okay to me somewhere. No problem. All right. And now I'm going to go to the virtual server and edit. So I'm going to edit and select your LDAP policy where it says LDAP policy. Under your basic authentication, this is the LDAP one. I'm going to unbind it. All right. And I'll say close. All right. And now I'm going to, in the basic one, I'm going to select SAML. So under my, remove it from there, and here I will select SAML. All right. That's what I'm going to select as my primary. Click continue and select my SAML policy, and that should work for me. Are we good, sir? Now I'm going to save it, and you see if I'm going to go to the browser and I'm going to go with the gateway, you'll see it should change to IDP. Okay. Why is it not changing to IDP? Gateway.workspacelab.com. It's not changing to IDP. Why? Did I miss something? Let me try in cognitive mode and see. Okay, something not right. Let's go and check it. So sometimes you get this kind of issues. Now we're gonna go and look at the policies. https gateway.workspacelab.com. Encryption, that is fine. Gateway.workspacelab.com, that is also fine. Close that. Let's go and see the basic policy. This could be a problem, maybe. idp.workspacelab.com/saml/login. That's correct.
I had a question about these. Like, why is this expected to be a normal or a regular default URL slash SAML slash login? Or
Yes.
but when we are integrating with applications, not the case there. I mean, it's supposed to exist as a path or as a file or.
That is already defined on your URL.
Okay.
This seems to be very much fine. https gateway.workspacelab.com. Okay, let's go and see on the virtual server. Edit, maybe I made a mistake somewhere here. Hold on, maybe I made a mistake on my authentication. SAML ns underscore true. Let's go to the virtual server and edit because it's supposed to redirect me. I already have that SAML. I already have a basic policy. So why is this not working for me? Okay, let's do one thing. I'm gonna log in. It's asking me to log in, so I'm gonna log in and test it. IT admin 1, password 1. So it should change from gateway to IDP, which is not. And it's not. Let me just close it and open this again. Otherwise, I'm gonna reboot this and see if this is gonna work. No, it's not working. For some reason, it's not working. Let me save this. Just give me a few minutes and
Okay, I'm back.
all right. https://idp.workspacelab.com SAML login. That's also fine. This is my redirect URL, which is not working for some reason. And I have the IDP certificate, and user field is name. And issuer is also https gateway.workspacelab.com. Okay. And everything else is the same. Then I've got the policy, which is ns underscore true, which is fine. Now I need to go to the gateway virtual server, gateway Citrix Gateway virtual server here, and edit it here actually. And scroll down to the LDAP. This is why it's not working. Unbind it, close, and bind it here and choose SAML primary, select the policy and bind this policy, and that's what I'm supposed to do. Bind, and that was supposed to be under the gateway, right? And I think I did it under the virtual server here, which is incorrect. So I need to unbind this. Now it should work.
Just give me a minute, sir.
Sure.
Back, sir.
Now you see, if I go to gateway, it changes to IDP, right?
Okay.
So here, if you see HTTPS gateway.workspacelab.com, you see it's gone to IDP, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can log in as itadmin1 and password 1. That means my SAML is working. Are we good, sir?
Yep.
So I'm gonna go back and unbind it. That means my SAML works perfectly well. And now I'm gonna go to the gateway and unbind that policy. I just wanted to print that it's working, right? Edit
Okay.
it. I binded it on the security virtual server, but I was supposed to bind it under the gateway virtual server.
Okay.
And I'm going to unbind the SAML. And I'll bind that. And now I'm going to create a authentication profile. So I will go back on to click on your authentication profile. You see on the right side, yes? Okay. And I'm going to click on that and I'm going to add, give it a name, auth underscore prof. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to select the virtual server and I'm going to bind it to my AAA server. And I'm going to create and I'm going to say okay and done. And I'm going to remove that SAML from the AAA. So I'll go to the security AAA, virtual servers, edit it, and you see where I say one SAML IDP policy, I'm going to unbind it. And I'm going to say done. So this is how your SAML works, right? So if I go back to my external client, I will go back to my gateway.
Okay.
Why is it not working? Because I need to save it. Let's see. Something not right here. Just give me one sec. So I've unbinded it. What's the problem? Are you busy with something, sir? You need some time?
No, no. I just had to execute one command on my server. I'm done.
Okay. So I don't have a SAML policy here.
Mhm.
All right. And so this is under my gateway virtual server. That's done and close. Right. And I have the authentication profile here, which is this one. Oh, why is it not working? And this is from my VSRV, and that's basically it. And I'll say done. Okay. And then go to the security, AAA, virtual servers. Edit this. This is also gone. I don't have a SAML policy. Maybe I need to buy an authentication LDAP policy here. Okay, that should be fine. Now I don't have anything because now this is my LDAP policy right here. But yeah, that's how your LDAP actually works, right?
Mhm.
So why is this not working proper for me? If I go to that and gateway, HTTPS gateway, and this is not working. Let me just restart this and see quickly. For some reason, my NetScaler isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So it's just supposed to take me back to the gateway. That's it. Gateway is supposed to open that page. That's all.
Okay.
Right, sir. So if that sounds wrong, this is basically your SAML that I wanted to show you,
Mhm.
and I want you to do some lab
Okay.
so I can end it. Right.
Yeah.
So do this. I will start the gateway lab. Right.
Okay.
You want to do the gateway lab? Am I right?
Yeah.
I'll give you the control. Now you have the control. Do you want to go through the lab guide first?
Yes, I'll open it up here.
Okay. I'll have to cancel this.
All these credentials given at the first, I will need to use all of them, or
Which credentials?
the credential lists 1, 2, 3, and
Yeah, it will be mentioned in your lab guide when you have to use which credentials.
okay. Okay, so we can begin.
Sorry?
Yeah, we can begin.
Okay.
How should I connect to the external machine, sir? Machine?
On the taskbar next to the Hyper-V, let me show you. Hold on.
Yeah,
This one here. Can you see it?
yeah.
So now you can take over. And then the first one on the left, double click on it. Say yes. Gateway spelling. Click on the network access and download that agent. And then install it. Yes. Just wait, it will get connected. Or did it ask you to restart? Yeah, no.
Uh,
No.
no, I didn't
Now,
see that.
now you need to restart. Say yes, finish and restart. Right, restart. Give it a minute or two, it will get restarted. Just give it 1 minute or so, and then double click on the external client again. What happened? You feeling sleepy?
Yes. Whole week has been very
Huh?
the whole week has been very tiring. I'm working from 8 to 6. Then I come home. It takes half an hour, 40 minutes to reach home.
Wow.
I freshen up for 15-20 minutes and then I join here.
See, at least me, I'm doing training. So I'm doing training in the morning, then I'm doing your training as well.
Okay, so it's double shift for you as well.
Yeah. Now double click on the external client, it should be up. What is this? Just cancel this. Or just open Chrome. Open Chrome. Now you can access the gateway. There's a bookmark by the name of gateway. Click on network access. And if you click on the taskbar there, you will see say open with the secure access, yeah. And then go back to the taskbar, you'll see it's gonna get connected to the VPN. That's right. See, it's connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was your gateway, right? I think you finished. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was
Registry key here to show
right?
the Citrix Gateway plugin. Edit the following registry key values. Disable icon. Okay, I think not required since we are already seeing.
Yeah. So that is your plugin that you will get. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you right click on it, open. This is where you're connected. Click on the three lines next to the status, and then you can go to each one of them, and it will give you, if you are running some application, it will tell you the applications, right? The logs and everything. That's your connection. Then you can go to the configuration. It will tell you whether it's English or whatever language you want to choose. And the logging, you can send the logs to your email. You can select the log level
Mm-hmm.
from info. It's just select it.
Uh,
Log
in,
level on top. No, no, on top. Select log level.
okay,
So you got verbose and info. Verbose will give you
very
uh,
detailed.
more details, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically your VPN connection.
Okay.
So I think this is the end of the lab, right?
After this, yeah, this is the end of this lab.
Right. So I will end it. Can I end this here? You have any questions?
No, clear.
Okay. So I will end this lab, right?
Okay.
And do you want to do the authentication lab?
Authentication.
I mean, you can take a 20 minutes break,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you want to do authentication lab, we can do you. I can give you that access.
Okay.
Okay. So you can take 20 minutes break. I'll put the timer on, right?
Let's take 15, sir, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, 50. Uh, no. Yes. It was. Where will you put? In the mother's room. Okay. Okay. अभी ये ठंडा लगे मैं थोड़ा पास से जाएगा थोड़ा जाएगा चलिए छोड़ने को बोल रहे थे ना ये बैठना
Rosh-
है
Roshni, can you mute yourself?
अच्छा ओके सर
Vashat, you're back.
यस
Do you want to go through the authentication lab guide, the steps, or do you want to start the lab?
yeah let me take a look at the steps
Sure. Just read that SAML one very carefully. Yeah?
okay I can start
Okay, you good?
yeah
Okay, I'll start this lab. And be very careful when you do the SAML one, yeah?
okay
Please, now you can start.
It's already binded, right, sir? This one?
Yeah, that's already binded.
Yeah, but why it's not showing here the
Which
here
one? There it
uh,
is. You binded it as a secondary.
we bind it as a secondary. No, secondary is okay. No, I'm looking for the primary. I don't know why it's not
Yeah,
showing.
click on basic authentication and choose the policy radius.
Yeah,
No, radius, not LDAP, radius. Then continue. No,
primary.
that radius has to be primary, right?
Correct.
So select the policy now and select and bind. There is your two policy. Radius is the primary and LDAP is the secondary. Scroll down and then I think it's going to ask you to save it. Done and save. User, spelling. That should be Citrix 456. Click on the unified gateway, then click on the authentication and edit the authentication. Now change that to LDAP. Change the radius to LDAP on top, yeah, Active Directory. And that's it. So just say continue, that's it. Continue, say OK. And there's a back arrow next to Citrix Gateway configuration. No, 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 no. Next to the Citrix Gateway configuration, that one, yes. There's a back arrow. Yes.
I'll have to write all of this,
Sorry?
the whole expression. I I cannot copy paste it.
Can't copy it.
Yeah. Is this case sensitive or I can simply write?
Make it capital. It can be case sensitive.
Even my cap doesn't seem to be working.
You want me to type it for you?
Yes, please, if you
Okay. What page are you on?
can. Up to page 34.
Page 34, right? Is it the one for the client IP, right?
Client IP destination in subnet. Yes.
Client.ip.test in subnet, right? And then I'm gonna give that 192.168.30.0/24 and client.tcp.deskport. Okay, that should be equal to 80 and two pipe signs and client dot tcp dot test port should equal to 443 and one more. Now I will say create. Okay, now you can continue.
Find Citrix Policy Gateway Manager.
Yeah, so click on the gateway, Citrix Gateway, the heading, yes, and on the right you'll see Policy Gateway Manager. Just 1 minute. Just hold on, please.
Okay.
Okay, now you can continue. Thank you.
Not clear, sir. Where do I have to connect from here? Command prompt or
To do
just
what?
click? I logged in and then it says click network access to connect to the VPN.
Then you have already connected to the network access. You already connected to the VPN.
Yes. And then run the RDP test.cmd.
Yeah, you minimize this, and then there is this RDP.
Okay.
This RDP. Can you see that?
Yeah.
If you double click, it should not open. So you missed the first step
Which was
to open the RDP test. So you see now you're not able to access because you did not allow, right? The authorization. You put the policy as deny, right?
uh, for
I see. Yeah,
no, I put deny for contractor, right? So this is
you're logged in as who? You're logged in as who did you log in as?
as IT admin one.
No, I doubt you. Then what policy did you apply for the IT admins?
Allow all. Did I mix it up?
Looks like auth allow all. You've also allowed these guys.
Mhm.
So gateway, you go to the policy manager, and we're gonna test it. You logged in as you did not because I think I'm gonna log you off and test it for you. Log in again for me, please.
Okay. Yeah, it's different now. I think it didn't log in.
Hold on, let me see if you can log on to that RDP. Something is not right.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see. Then I'm gonna go into your sessions and see. Citrix Gateway, policies, sessions. Deny all, okay. Let's see. Policies authorization. This is your okay. This is allow all, deny all, auth. True. This is your backend that we just created. Client.ip. This is what I've just added, right? Okay. Close and gateway manager, but everything seems to be fine. That is IT admins. I just unbind this. And this is gonna be auto allow all. This is gonna be 10. So I'll have the authorization policy, no policy. Select that policy, auth all. This is gonna be 10 and bind. Done. And our contractor should be auth all allow backend, right? That should be 100. have no idea what is wrong. Let me check all your policies again. You have created the users. You have configured your gateway, products unified gateway, LDAP policies. Created your groups. Are you there, Bashrat?
Yeah.
Okay, you have created your group also. So why is the problem? Gateway policy sessions edit. And you have done deny all also, gateway policy sessions, and you have done a deny. That's your deny, which is fair enough. Okay, that's done. That's all done. Gateway looks.
Yes. It's bus. I won't get there. We're about to close now. Can you just go? So what? Khatam.
You've done it right. I have no idea now why it is giving us that problem.
Mm.
Let me try incognito mode and see.
Is that yeah? Yeah.
Still not running. Okay, to be very honest, Bashrat, I have no idea what is happening here
Not a problem. Not a problem.
unless I straight away go from lab number one.
Mhm.
I mean, we have restored it. You've gone to unified gateway. You have restored everything back to normal, and we have created the groups, right?
Mhm.
What I'll do is let me just unbind it. And on the gateway policy sessions, I'm going to enable authorization, right? Maybe I need to now test it from here and see. See, this is not logging off. See, this didn't log off. And now it's logged in. Let's try it. And this is working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like this is working.
Yes.
Okay, so if that is working, let's go and see your policy that we have created for your authorization. So I'm gonna go back here, undeny that, right? If I go back to this, I'm going to log off here as well, log in again. It should not allow, right?
Yeah. But it will be contractor or
No, just the contractor one I'm checking.
okay.
It's allowing.
Yeah.
Gonna log off. I'm just gonna restart this machine here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna log in as a contractor and see if I'm able to browse the blue one, right? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna change now, add the authorization policies, okay? Gateway policies, authorization. I've got deny all and all this, right? And now I'm gonna go to your Citrix Gateway Manager, Policy Manager, go to the groups, add this IT admin, authorization policy, add, this is gonna be uh, auth allow all, right? Select 10, and bind and done. Contractor edit authorization policy, and we're gonna say allow backend, right? My problem is, why is this not connecting to it? See, my problem is this is not connecting. That's why it's not happening. Let's try it. It should now connect. Okay, this is connected, and let's see now. It should work. No, something is not right. Bashat, I am not really sure what's wrong here now.
No problem. It's okay.
But it should actually start.
Mhm. It could be some minor mistake with the configuration.
Yeah, but I don't see any minor mistake. Even if I go all the way and start from where you started the gateway lab,
Okay.
you have got the unbinded, you have done the radius one, right? You have
Yes.
unbinded the radius. I have no clue what's happening until only there's a problem in the VM instance. The last thing I can do is try and reboot this.
Okay.
But even if that doesn't work, then I really don't know what the issue is. Now, the only thing I can think of, maybe the VMs did not, you know, provision themselves nicely.
Okay.
I'll also just restart this machine. That's the only thing I can think of because I used the same lab and it worked perfectly fine. Not working. Something not right. Rashad, I have no idea here.
No worries. No worries.
Could be a problem with the instance.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just end this now, okay?
Yeah.
And I think I'll ask you to do it again, but this time I'll ask you to do the SAML one. So when we meet on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna do. Let me show you what we're gonna do on Saturday. I mean, you can tell me if you wanna do the same lab again, the gateway lab on Saturday or not. Uh, what we are gonna do is basically this. Okay, this we have already done. Okay, today we did the authentication and authorization, right? You are doing the gateway, right? Today.
Yeah.
No, you're doing the authentication just now, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to do that on Saturday, I don't have a problem. And on Saturday, we will do manage client connections. So I would say that we do manage client connection and do the lab, and then let's try to do this lab again, authentication and authorization, right?
Okay.
All right, and then we have to plan the ways we can do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because we'll have 4 days left. So you'll have a lot of. I'll give you the labs to do.
So what
Okay.
is left? It's like managing client, integration, and customizing.
Yeah. And then if you have time, then I will show you the content switching and GSLB also, which is not part of this course, but I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, just to remind you, I mean, if not today, day after tomorrow, no hurries. The student guide for this one, you only shared the lab guide. I believe.
Okay, I'll show you the student guide also.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll see you on Saturday then.
See you on Saturday. Thank
All
you.
right. Are we gonna see the same time?
Uh, yes, or you want to do it earlier? Saturday maybe we can do it little earlier if possible, but Sunday onwards again it will be the same time.
Yeah, no. If you can, then drop a message in the group that
Okay.
Saturday, or to those guys, send an email to the iCert team
Uh huh.
that you wanna start early on Saturday. Let me know in advance.
What time would be suitable for you?
Uh, I'm I'm home the whole day, so even if you want to do it in the afternoon.
For me, the issue is afternoon. I have to pick and drop the kids for the tuitions.
Okay.
And
So what
usually,
time will you be home?
actually, it's winter, so hopefully the evening will be home. So 7 to 11 would be, more reliable, I guess.
Okay, then we'll have it 7 to 11 then.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.